Yes, I have. I was just quickly introducing them to you, that you're going to be coming through. But I did very brief introduction because I think sometimes your credentials precede me. So I left them to you. They were just asking to say, but Ere, where is Unati for audit session? But I was like, no, Manuka is going to usher you into auditing. So so take it over. And I said they must ask you lots of questions, and they must also leave some what do you call this? They must also leave some questions if they have, and then if there are any which went over the session, I'll definitely share them with you and feedback back to them.
Ede, thank you so, so much. I am very grateful to see that we are not too big of an audience, considering the fact that I am late. So I owe every single person something. So I was not sure if we're expecting 400 people. So 48 is a manageable number of people to owe. So you will please let me know what I owe you guys for my transgression. My apologies. Got a little bit lost, but I am safe and sound at Endunamoo. Very excited to be with you guys today. So thank you, Ede, for the brief introduction. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about myself as we walk into our session. So I actually am an auditor. So if Ede forced me, I could talk to the auditing topic, whatever that was. But today, that is not what brings me to speak to you. So I'm going to introduce myself briefly by telling you a little bit of a story about my life. I'm going to share my screen in a moment, and then we will take it from there. Please just confirm once you can see it.
We can see it.
Thank you so, so much, Abi. Thank you. So, as I said, my name is Manuka Mate. I am a chartered accountant. I work as an auditor, but what brings me here today is the work that fulfills my heart, that I do. When they let me off auditing for a few minutes, then I come and do things like this, which is so, so amazing. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story about my journey in becoming a chartered accountant, my journey in finding my purpose. And my purpose is what brings me here talking to you guys today. So my story starts in the year 2002, when I was a very, very young person, not like today. I was 13 years old when I decided I wanted to become a chartered accountant. Story for another day, why kids are allowed to decide what career they will journey into, but nonetheless, I did. And my motivation was because I saw an advert for something called a chartered accountant, and I have never seen so much money. I was so, so excited. And I thought this is the thing for me. I had already been introduced to accounting, and I enjoyed it and I was good at it. And I thought, if we can make all of this money, if not, why not? Um, my journey, you'll see there, my next milestone I say is 2012, but it's just something to mention between 2002 and 2012, was I ended up studying at the University of Johannesburg. And that motivation that I had, that conviction I had of I wanted to become a chartered accountant, pretty much faded in school. I think probably in second or third year, I was not enjoying what I was doing. I actually asked my parents if I could quit. I was failing. Um, my mother refused. You're not quitting. This is what you said you want to do. You cannot become an economist. You said you want to be a chartered accountant, so a chartered accountant is what you're going to do. Um, and the varsity years were very confusing for me because, I wondered why I was struggling and this was not enjoyable. And there was just so, so much going on. Very, very challenging. And I think actually my first bout of depression was in tertiary during that time. So as I said, 2012, then I started working. I started working at KPMG, and I was one of those people who was convinced they were there for 3 years and they're going to be out. And I found that I actually enjoyed auditing. It is not like in the textbook, guys. If I can talk to you for 5 minutes after this, auditing really is a profession that one can grow in and do so much. So I really loved my 3 years there, so much so that in 2015, I decided to stay on as an audit manager, stayed with the firm for a number of years. In 2019, between 2012 and 2019, I was so lucky that I worked with amazing people. But one of the things that came out of that is they said to me, we want you to mentor a few people who look like you. Please look after them. And that is how I discovered the passion for mentoring or looking after others. In 2019, I decided I wanted to take that passion and do something else with it. In 2019, I decided to study coaching. And then I wasn't given, I asked for it. I asked to coach the people that I worked with because that is what I was passionate about. And I then started coaching over 100 people within my business unit. Really the best of times. Like 2020 was just some of the best years of my life. 2021, unfortunately, I decided to leave KPMG for all of the right reasons. And I started working somewhere else, end of 2021. But in 2023, they actually asked me to come back. And it was a tough decision, but I think I made the right one. So I went back in January of 2023, different department, but good work. So I now work in the technical department. And 2023, some very nice things happened for me professionally. So in October of 2023, fulfilled one of my lifelong ambitions, and I became an audit partner on 1 October 2023. I was also a little bit lucky that same month that I was nominated as part of SAICA's top 35 under 35, and really just a amazing recognition of the work that I was doing in terms of coaching and helping others journey in their careers. This presentation is actually what I used in last year's top 35. There's a very grainy picture of me at the age of 13. There's a picture of me the other day, last year. And my key message is not all those who wander are lost. I went through many years where I wasn't sure where we headed, but I wasn't lost. I was just journeying. Thank you so much for listening to that part of my story. I am now going to jump into, so I told you my story so that potentially you would be willing to tell me your story. So we're going to do something a little bit interesting in a moment. So let's get into our slide deck, and I'll tell you what we're chatting about today. And then it's actually quite interesting. I'm not here to speak to you. You will see in a moment. I am here to talk to you, not to speak with you, to engage with you. Okay. So today we're talking about mastering self-confidence, building resilience ahead of this exam that you guys will be writing in a few weeks or a few months. And just seeing how we can get you ready for that. So I want to tell you what coaching is so that you have a brief understanding, so that you understand this conversation that we are having. I know maybe perhaps some of you haven't necessarily been in coaching before in your life. So what is it that we are doing when we are coaching? We are clarifying your visions and goals, and we're partnering together to build actionable career goals. Okay, so from today, we're going to chat about a few things. Some things will resonate with you. Some things you can come back to. We assume in this conversation that you are inherently resourceful. which I know you are. You wouldn't have gotten to this point if you weren't, and just helping you to reach your full potential. Let's talk rules of engagement for today. So you're going to be interacting quite a bit, sharing, asking questions. As I said, you may revisit our questions at a later point. I may give the slides to Etta if she needs them. And then lastly, debrief or think about the things we talk about. We have only half an hour together. So talk about what you've gone through today with your friends, your family, a mentor, whoever it is that you are lucky to have in your support system. That is who you're going to chat to. Okay, so I'm just quickly going back to our Teams chat. I want to check if you're all okay. Please give me a thumbs up if you are still with me. Hello, Ishmael. Hello, Halelelo. All right, Tando says happy. Hello, Charity. Okay, so you're all there and you're all awake. I would like to know, I'd like to find out something. I'm very, very curious about something. So I'm going to share my screen. I just want us to do a little bit of a check-in. As I said, it's not about me talking to you and just telling you all these amazing things, but really just trying to understand mindset-wise, where are you guys? So in a moment, you're going to see a poll. There we go. So this is, my apologies. There you go. So please log on. If you just scan that QR code or go to slido.com, and I've got a code there for you, and you can answer a few questions for me. So we're going to be answering 5 questions actually. If you will please go there. Oh, my apologies. I'm actually going to stop this in a moment. I'm so sorry. Because I am sharing by mistake. My apologies. Please pause for me. I'm sharing by mistake the questions for the APC candidates, which are not exactly the same as yours. So I'm going to reshare in a moment. My apologies. So we are starting with them at 9 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. So I will just reshare that. So I was on the wrong one. My apologies. All right, we are back. So that's your code. So yours ends in a 6. That's how I picked up the error. So how are you all feeling? How are you doing? Okay. I'm just checking the chat to see if you guys are asking anything or what's going on. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not going to say your names. I don't know. So I think someone was asking how the studying is going, saying, not me, I'm dying daily. I wish we could have a month camp, a month before the exam, till the last day of an exam, away from everyone and away from everything. I want to see who said that, Maggie. I'm seriously not coping with everything else happening in my life right now. Maggie, if you don't mind just typing in the chat, please tell us why you say you're not coping with what's happening in your life. Is that family? What is it that's bothering you? Whatever you're going through, another person may be going through. So you guys are welcome to put up your hands. If you at any point you want to talk or grab the microphone, please do that. So as I said, it's not just me talking. It's me chatting to you guys. So someone said, let's find an accountability partner. That's amazing. Would love that. How's it going to work before I commit? You study together, you say this day we're studying, you do this, you hold each other accountable. There's too much going on in December. All right, cool. It looks like you guys were using the chat to find a friend. I hope you have found one. I recall the December that we were preparing for my first board exam. My brother was getting married. So I was at home, and that's where I would have been. And the house was so busy. It was so busy, in and out. And I had my room, but in a Black household, do you really have any privacy or space to yourself? It was such an interesting concept because I would be saying I'm studying, and it's like, what kind of child is studying on the 20th of December? Roughest month of my life, really fought for my life. I can't remember eventually when I left, but Meiki, I relate to what you're saying. So please tell us why you're saying that. So I'm reading your responses: exhausted, tired, stressed, not trying to overthink. I like that, feeling very good. Anxious, nervous, stressed, and incompetent. I am numb. I'm numb. Persistent, that is a good word. If I may ask, so as I said, this is a conversation. Anyone who has said they are feeling stressed, nervous, so a feeling that you maybe would not say necessarily the most positive one, do you mind coming in? Just put up your hand, and I will yield the microphone. If even one person just wants to comment on that, before we jump back to our slide deck.
Hi, Matty. How are you?
Hello, it is Manuka.
Manu.
So Manuka is my first name. Is that Abi?
Yes, it is.
Is Abi your first name?
No, Mukarram is my first name. Afi is my second
Mukaram.
name.
Okay. We are all ears. Please share how you are doing.
Okay, I'm doing okay. Just with work and studying, it's very overwhelming and also stressful as well. Um, it feels like I'm not getting enough studying done that I would like to have if I was a full-time student, but I guess that comes with, working and studying. So just trying to keep on the train of things and like just not fall behind. That's my main thing at the moment is to just keep with the program until the very end. In the other aspects, I'm a bit sad because my actual goal for this year was to pass my ITC IAC in June and have a nice December holiday. And I guess that's not in the card now. Because my wife and I we were planning on having a really nice holiday in December, and yeah, so now she's gonna be having a nice holiday, and I'm gonna be hitting the books. So I feel very sad about that.
And thank you for sharing, Mukaram. So, why do you feel sad about that part?
So in all honesty, so my journey started quite a long time ago. I finished my degree as a full-time student, and then when I attempted honors the first time, my twin brother and I we kind of we messed up the opportunity ourselves. Never do what was needed to be done. Then just going through life for a few years, enjoying it, everything until the realization came that you know what, I don't want to just have my degree. I want to get my CA.
Mm,
And I started my journey with my articles and everything a bit later on in life. So for the last 3.5 years, I would say, he has been this journey of completing my articles as well as getting the CA.
mm.
So I'm happy that whatever I've achieved in this last 3.5 years in terms of getting my honors and completing my articles have been good. But I felt that this year was going to be the year where I'm done with board one and I can done with articles. Then I can have a nice holiday before I start my next chapter. But
Okay.
right now I'm stuck on the same chapter, so that's
Yeah.
why.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, I resonate with what you're saying, because as I said to you, I didn't have an easy journey. I didn't, go to school and pass everything on the first attempt. It was really challenging. It took 2 years longer than it should have. And at that point, I didn't really even know if it was worth it. Were it not for my persistent mother, I think I would have stopped. Would I potentially have gone down the route that you have now, where you're saying, we decided that, actually this is what we want and maybe I should go back. But you said something very important earlier. You said, it didn't work out because we messed it up. We didn't do what we needed to do. And today I'm confident that all of you are doing what you need to, because you're here, you're in this room, you're committed to your studies, and you are going to give this last bit your absolute all. So absolutely relate to that. Okay, so everyone is saying same journey, same journey. Right. Goodness, my technical difficulties today. Insane. All right, so I want to chat to you about 3 concepts today. Thank you all for sharing. I wanted you to talk about how you are doing before we jumped in, because it's very important to understand where you are before we continue. So today we are talking about self-limiting beliefs. So those are the thoughts that each of us have about ourselves. Some of them not based on any facts. It is a feeling or a perception about, anything in life. And it can be a barrier. It prevents you from pursuing your goals, taking risks, or reaching your full potential. So let's ask a question. I'm not going to do a poll. I'm cognizant of time. So just want to ask, what is a belief that someone has right now about this exam that they think could be limiting?
So for me right now, I believe that if I had to sit in the exam right now, I wouldn't pass.
Why is that?
I just feel like in terms of the technical knowledge and exam technique that I currently have, I'm not there yet in order to get through, in order to get that pass at the moment.
Okay. Do you believe you can get there?
I believe if I'm persistent and with hard work and effort, yes, I would get there.
Okay. Thank you, Mukaram, for sharing. Tando, please go ahead. You've got your hand up.
Thank you. I think for me, the self-limiting belief would be that with the whole system being new, I may not be able to grasp the technical competencies that I need to, like those PVAA things that are going on now. I feel like maybe I'll struggle with being able to grasp the whole concept.
All right. Thank you for sharing. That's a good one, Tando. So Palisa, you've got your hand up. That'll be the last one I take on this one. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, morning. So for me, I think also coming from having failed a number of times along this journey, it's no matter how hard I work, I might just fail again. So that's like the daunting thought at the back of my mind a lot of the time. Yeah.
If I may ask you, let's try and see if we can flip the question, Palisa. So you say no matter how hard you work, that you may fail again. So is working hard the only thing that you can do?
Well, I mean, hard work in terms of even effort as well. So even in the past, you've worked, you haven't slept, you've done what was, recommended, I guess, to a certain extent, and then still failed. So maybe, I don't know what else outside of hard work, apart from, are you going to say smart work? Don't work hard, work smart.
I won't insult you, Palisa. I will say this to you. You're making me laugh. I'll say this to you. So when I failed CTA, that fail hurt because the first time I failed, like when I failed third year or that module or whatever in third year, I knew I didn't give my best. I knew there was something missing. So as Mukaram shared earlier, it's like, when you are not doing actually everything that you should. In CTA, I pushed, brah. I did everything that the lecturers said we should be doing, in my mind. And failing CTA was difficult. I cried the whole December. Like, it was painful. And it was very tough for me to understand what the next year would look like, because if I tried so hard this year, what will next year look like? I've never studied this hard in my life, and I've never failed this hard in my life. And the next year, things were just different. And I could tell, just like early on, I could tell that my mindset was a lot different from the previous year. So a silly thing, not silly, they'll tell you as lecturers, guys, okay, day before an exam, don't study, please relax, work on just being okay. And that didn't make sense to me the first time around. So it's not that I was working smarter, but I had a willingness to be open to trying something else because what I had done in my first attempt had not worked. So being open to listening to others, and as I'm saying, feels counterintuitive. That's the word I'm looking for. It feels counterintuitive to say the day before your exam, you're not going to be studying. The night before your exam, you're going to watch a comedy for 30 minutes and take a bubble bath. And that affects how you show up. So whether you call that smart, Balisa, or what we call it, being open, I want you guys to be open to doing something different than what you have done the first time. And I don't need to tell you guys this because I know your academic side certainly would have shared this with you. I've attended a session before where I've heard Ererwane speak. I know that they tell you guys all these things. Palisa, please come back for me for one moment.
Yes.
What do you think of what I've said?
No, I totally agree with what you've said. I had a session with someone a few weeks ago, and they were like, each time that they failed, they did something completely different.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, it's having to get over this feeling of overwhelming, because I'm in a state like I'm overwhelmed right now with the length of classes, the amount of work we have to do. Then there's still work and working overtime at work and all of that. So there's a lot happening, but having to then just sit down and say, what are we going to do differently this time?
And Palisa, if you may share just one thing for the audience, what is it that you decided to do different?
So in terms of my own study technique, right, one thing that I would love to focus more on is doing past papers, because I think Unati mentioned it yesterday, was you get lost in wanting to do theory because it's where you're comfortable. It doesn't feel like it's attacking you, like, no, you don't know this actually. But for me, it's one thing I've been teaching myself, even in other areas of life, is getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable in being bad at something, because that's the only way that I can get better. So it's sitting down with a past paper and saying, I'm going to do this question. I don't know, I might write nonsense, but at least let me write something so that I can compare it to what is in the solution and learn from that. So that is my main focus going into this sitting of IAC, as opposed to last time where I focused on theory and then did like a few past papers. So yeah.
Madam, one last question. When you are overwhelmed, what is your go-to to de-stress?
I go to the gym.
You work it out.
I go sweat it out. I go to the gym. I listen to music. I spend time with family. I watch a good movie. Yeah, yeah. I make sure that I get outside of the place that is overwhelming me, which is home and studying. So I get away from that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad there is something. I asked you that because earlier, I spoke about a small change that I made, and I'd like you to remember that arsenal when you get to that point. Thank you so much for sharing, Balisa, and thank you. Okay, thank you, my darling. All right, so how do we manage these beliefs? The first part is actually being aware that you have this belief. So my beliefs need to be based on facts. Am I studying hard? Am I setting myself up? Do I have the technical competence? Am I working on my technique? Am I working on myself, the holistic person, to make sure that I can show up in my best form? So try and question yourself. When you have a belief, is this based on a fact? So when you say, I will fail again, and the reason I say I'll fail again is because I failed before.